Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Pursuit. I'm Anthony, and this is going to be, at long last, an intro video to me and why I'm doing this channel and what my goals are. I'm the owner of this channel. I'm real. I'm not AI generated, despite the features being, this. Um, and I wanted to do an intro video because I have gained subscribers. I'm honestly very grateful. I didn't think I would get so many subscribers, but here we are. And so, you guys deserve to know who I am and a little bit about what I believe, where I came from, and some why I'm doing this and what we're going to do here in the future. My name is Anthony, and I do go by Anthony, and I like to joke about that with my girlfriend in particular because there's a scene, if you've ever seen The Irishman on Netflix, in which uh, Frank Sheeran, played by De Niro, and Hoffa, Jimmy Hoffa, James Riddle Hoffa, played by Al Pacino, are talking, and De Niro is relaying a message from Tony, and Hoffa, played by Pacino, of course, is like, Tony? Which Tony? They're all named Tony. So that always makes me laugh. I'm not Italian, but we'll get to that. Uh, I was born and raised in South Carolina to immigrant parents who escaped from communist Hungary. And so that has shaped a lot of who I am, frankly. Growing up in the deep South, with a Eastern European last name and raised by parents with conservative values is a very interesting thing. Anyway, after I graduated high school, I went to Clemson University, but only for 2 years. I didn't graduate. I did, however, help found the chapter of Lambda Chi Alpha fraternity that is at Clemson University. So I'm a founding father of that chapter of that fraternity. If you're a Lambda Chi, awesome. There's a longer story there. I'm not going to get into it today, but I'm a founding father of the Clemson University chapter of Lambda Chi Alpha fraternity. I was an architecture major while I was there. So I left. I didn't go back after my sophomore year. I was academically suspended in any case. So I sort of spent the remainder of the 90s kind of wandering around, not being very productive. Okay. Then, in the summer of 2001, I enlisted in the United States Army. I was 29 years old and a little bit aimless. And so, a friend of mine who has since passed away recommended that I, join the Army, that I would be a good fit. So, I enlisted as an infantryman. 11 Bravo in the Army is the MOS nomenclature. And I arrived to Fort Benning, Georgia on September 4th, 2001. So you do the math. Okay. I served for 11 years. I deployed 5 times to foreign countries. 2 of those were to Korea. 3 of those were to combat in Iraq. I was a mechanized infantryman from my entire career. I did spend 2 years teaching the Stryker vehicle, or the infantryman's variant of the Stryker vehicle, at Fort Benning again. But for the majority of my career, I was a mechanized infantryman on Bradley fighting vehicles, and I served 3 combat deployments and 2 deployments to Korea during that time. Also during that time, I did earn the Expert Infantryman Badge and the Combat Infantryman Badge, naturally. So, I graduated from Troy University with a Bachelor of Science in Criminal Justice later on in 2012. After I left the Army, I separated from the Army honorably. Then I went and finished my degree in Bachelor in Criminal Justice. I got a Bachelor of Science. So now we're going to fast forward a little bit. I didn't do anything with that degree. I wanted to go to law school here at the University of South Carolina, but the job outlook was grim at that time. So I decided to go back to school using my post 9/11 GI Bill benefits, and I earned a degree in machine tool and die technology. and machining, and I'm very, very proud of that degree. That degree was very difficult to earn. 17 people started the program with me, and only 8 of us graduated. So it was a rigorous program, and I'm very proud of it. So, all right, let's fast forward to today. We're here now. It's 2026. We're February 2026, and for the past few years, I have owned a little micro shop out here in my garage. I have a small CNC mill, and I have a saw, bandsaw, I have drill press, I have all the little grinders and polishers, little machinery like that. And I make parts for my father, who is an engineer in the power control industry, and I'm very, very proud of that too. Almost everything I make is in aluminum, although I have machined almost every material excluding composites, which are damaging to my kind of mill, so I have to be very careful about that, but we're going to get there eventually too. I've machined titanium and zirconium, I've machined steels, stainless, all kinds of exotic alloys. Okay, it's a good mill that I have. It's a small, it uses single phase power, but it's a good mill. So, all those hats I wear, all these hats that I wear, and I haven't even talked about all of them yet, but the most important thing I am, and the most important hat that I wear, is that I'm the father of twins, a boy and a girl. And I won't talk about them very much here. They don't live with me, although they do live in the same town, and I see them frequently. I'm present for them, and I'm amicable with their mother and everything. But that's the most important thing I've ever done in my life. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, and it's the best thing I've ever done in my life at the same time. So I'm, of course, exceedingly proud of being a father, but I'm also impressed by them every day. They're 10 times what I was at their age, so it's impressive to see. Anyway, my kids are my world, really. I'm also a Clemson Extension Master Gardener, which is a little ironic considering I didn't graduate from Clemson anyway, but we have a really good extension office in my county here in South Carolina, and I went through that program in 2023 and earned that distinction. I'm not really keeping up with it too much, but it was a bucket list item for me to become a master gardener. I've been growing, vegetables, foods, all kinds of things all my life. And, just so we're talking about, this channel isn't about gardening, but I grow coffee. I grow tea outside. I grow coffee right here next to me inside my kitchen. I grow pineapples. I grow all kinds of interesting things that, you wouldn't necessarily think grow in South Carolina or can be grown in South Carolina. Real quick, I don't want to mess up my nice little setup, but those are my coffee plants over there, and I've had them since 2022. So they flower, and I've harvested beans, and we'll be roasting some beans, my girlfriend and I, and she drinks the coffee. I drink tea, so I grow that outside. Another thing I do that's kind of interesting and sort of kind of getting back to machining and relevant to RC and rockets is I've been a fly fisherman for 31 years now. I've been almost only kind of rod I pick up to go fishing anymore is a fly rod, and I do it pretty frequently, and I love it. I also volunteer to teach people to fly fish, including scouts. I do a program we have here in South Carolina I volunteer for women who have survived or are surviving in treatment for cancers, any type of cancer. Teaching them how to cast a fly rod as part of their therapy and recovery from chemotherapy and things like that. So volunteering is a big deal to me. I enlisted in the Army. I volunteer for Trout Unlimited here in the Midlands of South Carolina. I volunteer to teach people to fly fish. I volunteer to pick up trash anytime I can. In my neighborhood that I lived in before this house, I was one of the rangers. We just went around and picked up trash and cleaned out storm drains. That was a big deal. We have some really old neighborhoods here in Columbia, South Carolina, as you can imagine. All right, so here we're right now. We're on, February 11th, 2026, year of our Lord. And what are we doing? Well, I started a channel because I was rekindling my love of model rocketry after my son started building Warhammer 40K miniatures and modeling and making scenes using plastic models that were just for display. And he wants to create dioramas and historical dioramas and things like that, which I think is pretty amazing. And he's progressed really fast. And so to sort of be in that world with him, although I don't make miniatures, I rekindled my love of flying model rockets. I started flying model rockets. I started launching model rockets in 1987 or so. I got a kit in Christmas of 1985. And of course, then the Challenger blew up in January of 86. And the kit sat in my closet. I mean, I was pretty messed up by that, because in my family, space and science were really at the forefront. Engineering and space and technology and science. My mother is a computer quality control engineer. My sister is an astrophysicist in real life. My dad is an electrical and mechanical engineer, and I'm, of course, the black sheep of the family. But anyway, so Challenger accident happened, and that kit, that model rocket kit, sat. It was a full launch set, motors, everything. It just sat for about 2 years. And then I built it and launched it. And I've been launching rockets every few years since then, really. Every 3 to 5 years, I pick up some kits. Then when my children were born, I really started getting into it. Well, the last time I did it before 2025, fall of 2025, was when SpaceX launched the first crew on the Dragon after we had lost the space shuttle program, and we were only launching from Baikonur in Russia. And we were launched from American soil. And, SpaceX sort of rekindled my love of space technology and the space news. But flying model rockets came later in fall of 2025. Now I'm really building out a lot of rockets. I've got a lot of launch pads and a lot of cool things I want to show you and teach you about model rocketry. So then during the model rocketry videos that I was making, I started to pick up RC videos, which are, I guess, sort of in the same realm. And then I realized that there are a whole class of affordable small-scale RCs that I could start with to see if, this was something I really wanted to pursue. When I was a kid, of course, when I saw the Tamiya Grasshopper come out, I was probably 14 or 15. I mean, blew my mind. I wanted one, but we couldn't afford it. And then that's fine. Now I can afford some toys. And so I started buying RC cars, and I was immediately hooked. And here we are. I have a channel. I want to grow it. I want to teach, and I want to learn from you guys. And that brings us to what are my goals. And sort of closing up this video, and it'll probably be my longest video I make for a long time, other than review videos. So my first goal is just have fun. I just want to have fun. I want to have joy. Plain and simple, nothing to it. Just have fun. Run cars, launch rockets. Yeah, they're going to break, but when you're driving an RC car and things are working, I just want to have fun. I want to experience that fun. And I also want to find joy in kind of the lows. There's not fun necessarily, but there is something to the failures and learning from them. And so that can be fun. Like, oh, we can't do that jump with this car. Things like that. It can still be fun. All right. Again, I said it before. I'll say it one more time. I want to teach and I want to learn. I want to teach you what I know. I'm 54 years old. Don't let it fool you. I'm 54 years old. I'll be 55 this year. And I know things about CNC machining. Maybe we can talk about machining parts for your car from aluminum if you want. That's something down the line. But I want to learn from you because, for example, I've got this drift car addiction now, and I'm going to have to build a drift car and learn how to drive it better. But I'm going to have to learn that from you all. So I'll be watching your videos and learning from you. And that's a big deal to me. And I'm a lifelong learner, and I'm going to continue to be a lifelong learner until my last breath. The last thing, really, the third and the main thing is just to leave a historical record for my family. If my children have children, if I have grandchildren, or even for them to watch later, to see what kinds of things brought me joy. Again, my kids don't live with me, but I want them to know, who I was and what I was about when they weren't with me. They see me, a couple days a week maybe, but there's a lot of time in between there, and I don't know them very well either. So it occurred to me I need to leave them something so they know me. And the very last thing I'm going to say, and probably the most important, is uh, this channel is all inclusive, period. I don't and I won't ever discriminate or judge based on your gender, your religious beliefs, your orientation sexually, or your political beliefs, ever. I just won't. If you are into RC or model rockets, you are welcome here. And that's it. If you don't like that, and I understand some people uh, want to align with their politics, and YouTube has plenty of that for you. I respectfully, ask that you unsubscribe and find your people. My people are the nerds and the all-inclusive crowd. Uh, if you want to apply terms to that about my political beliefs, feel free. But I promise you, you're probably way off base. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Thank you for watching. If you stay to the end of this, I'm going to be giving away an RC car. And so stay tuned for that, because when I do the next review of my RC Drift Porsche, I'm going to be giving away that car. It's been bumped around a little bit. It's used, but it runs nice, and I have another one on the way. So somebody's going to get lucky and win that one, and I'll send it to you. Okay, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. More to come.